Hey there, vinyl community. This is going to be a short video. I kind of rushed over to pull out my camera because of some news that was announced today. This is probably for people that follow this channel. This is going to be very, very big news, and that is Acoustic Sounds Analogue Productions has announced a new update to their dormant for a number of years now RCA Living Stereo series. Now, I had a hunch something like this was coming. Chad Cassim, the owner of Acoustic Sounds, had contacted me inquiring as to, what would be a good direction to take this Living Stereo series in, and I had some title recommendations for him. And I know there's definitely some issues with licensing because this catalog is owned by Sony, and Sony typically are very tight-lipped about access to their tapes. However, they've been a little bit more forthcoming with classical than they have other genres. But there's also the fact that Acoustic Sounds, Chad Cassim, owns metal parts to the entire Classic Records catalog. Now, he doesn't have the licensing to everything automatically, but he owns those metal parts. And it seems like with this new series that was announced today on October 29th, that this is going to be a 45 RPM series that is a repressing of the metal parts from the Classic Records single-sided 4-disc 45 RPM series that they did in the 90s and the 2000s. So, is this what we hoped for? Yes and no. A lot of the single-sided 45 RPM Classic Records cuts that were cut by Bernie Grundman back in the 90s, these are records that are highly sought after, highly collectible now, and most of them go for around, if you've got a complete set, most of them go for around $200 on the secondary market. So if you can release a double-sided, double 45 RPM, $65 product from these cuts pressed on probably what I would imagine to be vastly improved presses, a vastly improved vinyl formula, this is going to do well, it's going to be a winner, and these records are going to sound excellent. The downside, though, as far as reissues go, is that Chad is not reaching further into the RCA Living Stereo catalog beyond what's already been reissued by Classic Records. For me, that's kind of a bummer because there's so many great sounding RCA Living Stereos out there, and I imagine the tapes are still in usable condition. And I have to hope that this is the start of something and not the conclusion of something. I have to hope that more RCA Living Stereo titles will be cut by Ryan K. Smith at Sterling Sound, is the one that did the last 33 RPM series. I have to hope that more new releases will come and we're not just going to get a rehash of the previously reissued titles. But that's not to say this is bad, because there's a few records in this list that I don't own from the Classic Records series. And there's a few records in here that are highly sought after audiophile titles in their 45 RPM form that are very, very hard to get right now. So it is a good thing that this stuff is available, especially for people that weren't around back when the original Classic Records titles were released commercially. So this is a really good thing. I want to quickly run down a few of the titles because I think some of these are very good choices. Some of these are real audiophile warhorses that will be test records, definitely test records. So I'm just going to go in alphabetical order here. The first one up is LSC 1934, a personal favorite of mine, the Bartók Concerto for Orchestra with Fritz Reiner and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. This is one of my personal favorite Living Stereos, and funny enough, these are from the Classic Records plates. That means that this is going to be using the Bernie Grundman cut, and I've heard Bernie Grundman on a number of occasions say that this was actually his favorite classical record to cut back in the day. He really enjoyed working on this one. We have some other awesome titles from Fritz Reiner and the Chicago Symphony, LSC 2374, another Bartók music for strings, percussion, and celeste is another one of the 45 RPM titles they're going to do, and this is a very percussion-heavy record, and it's going to sound awesome at 45 RPM. I think that was a good choice to go with this one. There's some others here. Heifetz playing. There's a lot of Heifetz titles, Jascha Heifetz, on this release list. Jascha Heifetz doing the Beethoven Violin Concerto, LSC 1992. I've got a 33 classic of that in there somewhere. Analogue Productions has never touched that title. One that I did in my RCA Living Stereo series, Munch and the Boston Symphony doing Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique, LSC 1900. This is the earlier Munch Boston recording on 2-track. Kind of a interesting performance that some people are going to love or some people are going to hate, but man, it's a great sounding record. They're doing the Rubinstein Brahms First Concerto, LSC 1831. They've got Fritz Reiner and the Chicago Symphony doing Brahms Violin Concerto, again with Jascha Heifetz. So much Heifetz on this. In fact, I'm going to run down a bunch of these Heifetz titles. They're doing LSC 2652, which is him doing the Bruch Concerto in G minor and the Mozart Concerto in D major. There's LSC 2603, Bruch's Scottish Fantasy, and the Vuitton Concerto No. 5. And then we get some Piatigorsky. Piatigorsky Dvorak Cello Concerto, LSC 2490. That one was an interesting choice. That was a title that I did recommend to Chad. I didn't know he'd do it at 45, though. That would be very interesting. And one that I'm really happy they're doing, because it's one of the best sounding RCAs, is Gershwin Concerto in F with the Cuban Overture. This is Fiedler and the Boston Pops Orchestra, LSC 2586. And then here's one that Analogue Productions also has never done yet. Jascha Heifetz doing the Glazunov Violin Concerto, LSC 2734. That is definitely one I will be picking up. Here's some other stuff that they have done before. We have LSC 2314, Heifetz and Munch in the Boston Symphony doing Mendelssohn Concerto in E minor and Prokofiev Concerto in G minor. Speaking of audiophile war horses, we have, of course, the famous Rene Leibowitz and the Royal Philharmonic doing The Power of the Orchestra, some showpieces from Mussorgsky, Pictures at an Exhibition, Night on Bear Mountain, etc., etc., LSC 2659. And then one I'm very excited that they're doing, because the 45 RPM of this is very, very hard to find and very expensive on the secondary market, LSC 2150. Reiner in Chicago doing Prokofiev Lieutenant Kijé Suite and Stravinsky's Song of the Nightingale. No surprise they're doing more Rubinstein. One they've reissued that's been in print for a while. It's Rubinstein doing Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini, LSC 2430. You have the famous Bolero with Munch in the Boston Symphony, LSC 1984. Another Munch Boston recording, Daphnis and Chloe, LSC 1893. And of course, they had to include also Sprach Zarathustra, I gotta say it with the German way, with the TH, Fritz Reiner Chicago Symphony, LSC 1806. This is, of course, the earlier recording of Also Sprach. The original one from the mid-50s sounds glorious. It really does. You can ignore the slight intonation issues in the organ. More Heifetz, this time with the Dallas Symphony, the Rosa Concerto for Violin and Orchestra, LSC 2767. Another one that I'm very happy they're able to do at 45 RPM, Munch and the Boston Symphony doing the Saint-Saëns Concerto Saint-Saëns Symphony No. 3, the Organ Symphony, LSC 2341. This is one that I do not own in any form. I don't own an original. I don't own the classic records. That I'm very excited that I'm going to get to finally own. It's the Schubert Trout Quintet, played by the Festival Quartet, LSC 2147. This one is a long sought after rare living stereo. Doesn't matter what version, if you get the original shaded dog, I think they did a white dog, the classic records, they're all pretty highly sought after. They're doing Reiner's Spain with Chicago Symphony, LSC 2230. And for some reason, they're doing the Reiner Tchaikovsky 1812. I'm a little confused as to why that one made the reissue list, but it's okay. It's a good sounding performance. It doesn't have the canons. LSC 2241. They're doing the Montu Tchaikovsky 4 with the Boston Symphony. Excellent recording, LSC 2369. And this is another one a little out of left field. I don't know why this needed to be at 45, but I guess they have the plates. They might as well do it. The LSC 2424, Society Corelli, Vivaldi, Four Seasons. So those are the 25 titles that Analogue Productions are putting out in this new 45 RPM living stereo series. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, to some extent, and I was talking with some other classical YouTubers about this, to some extent, it is a little disappointing that they're going back to titles that have been in various forms of reissue for a while. I mean, some of these 45 cuts are very expensive on the secondary market, and so they're not available to the consumer, the people that have gotten into this in the last 10 years. Those records are very, very difficult to find. So I'm glad they're back in print. I'm glad we get some definitive versions of some of these records, but on the other hand, when I saw the announcement, I was really hoping we'd get some new cut titles, because there's so much wealth in the RCA Living Stereo catalog. There's so many great releases Analogue Productions could be doing. So this announcement is a double-edged sword, but I would say if I had to lean one way, I'm very happy about this. I will definitely be picking up some of these titles. Let me know down in the comments what titles you're going to be picking up from this series, or, you know, if you feel like you're all set. Let me know, you know, because Chad may very well read the comments on this video. Let Acoustic Sounds know, let Analogue Productions know, what living stereo titles would you love to see finally reissued? Like, what have been missing from the reissue catalog for the longest time? Because I think that's an interesting conversation too. So I'm very excited, I'm very happy that the living stereo catalog is coming back into print in one form or another. It's been stagnant for way too long. And I hope this isn't the end. I hope this is just the beginning. But those are my thoughts. We will see you all in the next video, everyone. Cheers.